Fast Venture back with another video, and on this video I actually made myself a new anvil, and I'm hopefully going to make some hammers that I think will work out for some impressionist hammering on my copper. So on my last video you might have seen that I picked up a dollar store hammer that didn't bolt too well, and it's been out in the weather a little bit. As you can tell, it's not bolting too well even farther. So I had an idea. I just had this old ladder rung that I figured I'd actually be able to repurpose, because I just figured I'd cut it right down the center there because I don't have any other scrap wood that's actually this small, and I should hopefully be able to shape it down into either this head, or I actually came across another hammer that's slightly bigger that might be like almost perfect. It's actually really hard to see, but with any luck my goal is to turn it into something with an actual pattern on it, and at that point I can just use that to actually make my impressions, rather than trying to do what I did originally, which is take something like a giant screw and hammer your copper onto there. It halfway worked. I got it all taped down, but secured down to my anvil, and it was really mediocre. A lot of the times when I actually hit too hard on this, it would actually cut the copper in two. So maybe a little too sharp, maybe a little too aggressive of a cut considering how deep this is for doing what I intended to do. But I figure if I take an angle grinder or something like that, I can actually just make vertical stripes in the head of one of these. It doesn't have to be perfect, because of course we're just going for more or less a pattern. And yeah, so first I'm going to show off my new anvil that I actually made out of what I think is nothing more than a railroad tie secure plate. Kind of like what secures the actual railroad to the railroad tie. Made one of those, and yeah, we'll get to it. So here it is. Got my, what I like to call an anvil. Not really. I'm going to use this to make bracelets later. I can clean that up. And yeah, so all this is a backside. I believe you turn it upside down and you actually fit railroad ties right in between here, and screw everything down on the backside, or I'm not entirely sure. But what I did with it is, it was pretty rusty, so I got rid of the surface rust, so I have a pretty nice flat area to work with. Kind of looks a little wavy, but it's not too bad. You can tell it's still dusty. I did this just yesterday. So I just used this. I got some decent rounded edges here. I got a nice sharp edge over here for actual cutting, and I figure at some point I might actually be able to make, you know, half-inch insert tools, or find some tools that'll actually fit in there. And the plate's just secured with these little metal pieces, so at any point I can actually you know, take this all apart and I still have this together. But as you can see, this is pretty secure, and it just has two C-clamps to the back side of this I don't know, linoleum cabinet top, and it's worked out really well. So I mean, if you excuse the noise, it's really not too bad. So that's my anvil, and like I said, hopefully I'll be able to secure this somewhere. I have no idea where really. I'm thinking maybe the side of my desk, and I'll just be able to hammer around that and make some pretty decent round shapes. Came across this as well. Nice little worn out hammer. I gotta make a new top for this as well. You can see this one's just raring to come out. So hopefully, if it all goes well with this silly dollar store hammer, I'll be able to refurbish this one and make some pretty fancy impression hammers without having to spend a ridiculous amount of money at the craft store. So I'm going to cut this down into shape and see what I can do.